I will not be long. I just want to welcome you to Chicago State University. I also would like to thank the organizers for this event. I'd like to thank the Coalition of African American Leaders. I'd like to thank the Young and Powerful Group. I'd like to thank the students at Chicago State University. I'd like to thank the administration, academic affairs, and student affairs, and public relations and marketing for all the work they put into making this event happen. And I'd like to thank our moderators, Mr. Charles Thomas from ABC 7 News, and Ms. Robin Roberts. Now, I will be brief because I want to hear the candidates just as much as you do. So, what we're going to do this evening, the first candidate that will come up will be Mr. Chewy Garcia. And Mr. Garcia will answer questions for an hour. And then we will have a short break, and then we will have Mr. Mayor Ron Emanuel. Now, I'm glad that we just had that because now I want to introduce Minister Sylvia Jones, who's going to talk to us about the rules of engagement for this evening. So please join me in welcoming Minister Sylvia Jones.
First, giving honor to God, who's the head of my life. Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Kelly. They said there's two people that you never give the microphone to. One is a minister, and the other one is a woman. One talks too long, and the other one talks too much. And I won't be long. The desired outcome of this forum is for everyone to leave today's forum with a clear knowledge of the candidate's position and legislative recommendations. Please respect one another in this process. Mostly important, respect the moderator. In this case, the moderators. We ask that you not carry on side conversations so that the person in front, back, and beside of you may hear the candidate. No obscene hand gestures or outbursts. Please cut off your cell phones or put them on vibrate. If you have to take a call, please remove yourself from the room or not use them at all. This is a state facility, and the distribution of political signs, buttons, brochures, etc. are prohibited inside or on the grounds of the campus. Be aware that there are state campus police in the facility. We ask that the candidates respect the time that has been allowed to them. It is our collective hope that all present will cooperate. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Now, I want you to pay attention. We have a live Twitter feed where people will be making comments throughout the evening on social media. We also will be taking questions from the audience throughout this evening for both candidates. And so now we're ready to get started, right? So now let me introduce our esteemed moderator, Mr. Charles Thomas from ABC 7 News.
First, giving glory to God, who has brought me this far.
I know that's right.
And I just wanted to say that, during this campaign, I have covered, it seems every day, if certainly every 2 or 3 days, I'm doing stories about the black vote and how critical the black vote is to the outcome of this runoff. We've been at this now, I think Tuesday, yesterday represented an entire month or 4 weeks, and there has yet to be a debate or a forum focused on what black people think about this election. And that's what makes this event so critical. You know, what we want to do tonight is to have a conversation. My colleague, Robin Robinson, is there in the audience. She has a microphone. She's going to be working the crowd, if you will. We have an esteemed panel here, who I will introduce in a minute, who will ask questions of each candidate as they appear here. And we want to, again, have a conversation, a civil conversation. We want our community to speak to these two candidates and to have these candidates speak to us about issues that are of particular concern to us. Now, those could be citywide issues as well as issues that affect our community, because after all, we are part of this larger city. I would just pray that we maintain civility during the hour that we have with each of these candidates, that we show both of them as much respect as we would show anyone who would come into our home. I'd like to thank Chicago State University for facilitating this event, because if Chicago State had not done it and had not been insistent that this event happen, it wouldn't be happening. And I think that we need to give Professor Harris and everyone here at this institution credit for that. I believe at this point, this is the point that I introduce our panelists. And I'm going to introduce them from, I guess that would be your right to left, but the gentleman sitting on the end nearest the audience is Professor Philip Beverly, a professor of political science here at Chicago State University. Sitting to his immediate right is Wendell Mosby, the Chief Executive Officer of Young, Black, and Powerful. To his right is Charles Preston, who is a student here at Chicago State University. And to his right is Kim Delaney, who is another professor here at Chicago State University, her area, African American Studies. And of course, we would like to introduce our first candidate who will appear here at the forum, Jesus Chuy Garcia, Commissioner in Cook County. And we're going to start, I think, on the panel. Panelists, are you ready? Let's start with Professor Beverly. What's on your mind concerning Chuy Garcia and his candidacy for mayor of the city of Chicago?
It's actually about public schools. It's actually about public schools?
Sure.
If the CPS is broken, as it's been oft reported, do you support investing in fixing, or replacing?
I didn't understand it either.
It's much more a philosophical question. Do you support fixing the schools or replacing them?
I'm not sure I understand I think fixing schools or replacing them.
Right.
That, you know,
The mayor seems to have used a replacement strategy.
What is with the audio?
Is it me too? Continue. Is that better?
No.
Okay, very good.
In closing schools, the mayor's closed a number of schools in doing his tenure. That doesn't seem to fix the problem. That seems to be replacing. And so philosophically, where are you? Are you a fixer or do you just replace?
I believe that in order for Chicago to have a robust system of public schools everywhere in the city of Chicago, we need to invest significantly in order to do that. The Chicago public schools are underfunded, and we suffer from a structural deficit related to how we pay for our educational system. The formula that we use is primarily property taxes to do that. So every year, every few years, we're in a struggle to figure out how to make ends meet. Unless we change the revenue source, we'll always be in this dilemma of either having to fix or replace the schools. What we need is equitable, sustainable funding for the future. It's part of the reason why I believe that we need to move toward a graduated state income tax that is progressive so that we are not in this annual crisis and then being pitted education versus healthcare versus mental health and so on and so forth. If we're going to be a good state of Illinois and a city that invests in all its children, we must have sustainable funding sources. So I am an investor in our public school system to give us a robust. And I hope I interpreted your question correctly.
But Commissioner, you know, the last two mayors, Richard M. Daley and now Rahm Emanuel, have talked about the same problem, trying to change the for funding schools. What you do as mayor in Springfield, where this is you do is to fix it differently than Rahm Emanuel.
The crisis has only worsened and deepened since the two mayors that have made reference to wanting to change it. The crisis will force us either to come up with a solution that is long-term and sustainable, or we will have failed public education and it opens up the door to the worst alternative.
What do you do in Springfield? What are you going to do in Springfield differently?
Because I have relationships in Springfield as a former state senator, because I understand what the problem is and why the system is broken, I will be in Springfield working actively to help change the funding formula to move away from the regressive system that we have in Illinois to a more progressive system as it relates to essential basic services like education and healthcare, the basic, what ought to be guarantees in terms of human rights for every individual in the state of Illinois.
I represent young black professionals. And I'm also familiar with Chewy because I'm also a member of the Young Washington Legacy Committee. And so I do know history, I do know your involvement. The question is, today, 24